I'm Peter James. I'm the Vice President of Global Business Development for Shure Incorporated, and I focus on growth, in particularly new categories, new products, new technology, and how we understand to make better products and how to position those for benefit to our customers and end users around the world. I think it's important to understand that archetypes exist. They know what every organisation is different, the construction of that organisation is different, and how their people come together and use technology, particularly collaboration technology, differs from organisation to organisation, and whether multiple archetypes exist as well. So I think if you have a very structured organisation, there's a very structured archetype. We've got some naming for those in different types, which probably isn't right to go through now, but there were those that are very structured, very formulaic. There are those that are very hierarchical. There are those that are sometimes disparate, more dynamic, that are project-driven. But understanding how people come together and for what purpose helps to understand, first of all, what you want those teams to do and how you position technology to support them. It's interesting with hybrid environments in particular, is how those teams work. And when you've got a disparate team with people that are maybe based in a room together, discussing with people outside joining that meeting, if you don't understand what the purpose of that is and how the dynamic between them works, you can't always position the tools in the best way to get the best outcome. And I think that's important to understand is, how is that team work? If they're project-driven, how do those different interaction points work? How does collaboration support the intent of that group coming together? And making sure that the technology you're using isn't expected to work across all archetypes equally, because it doesn't. So it's understanding, if you have it, how do you position it? How does it fit to the archetype, and what does it do for that meeting environment, rather than assume all those archetypes and all those environments and meetings are the same, because they're not. I mean, really, it's about augmentation of workflows rather than just adding on. We've seen that a lot of the AI is isolated. That we have this AI tool, we have this AI capability. What should we do with it? How do we apply it? Where does it fit on the organisation? Almost like a bolt-on. And in fact, really, AI is at its most successful and most impactful when you connect it and augment existing workflows. So a good example of that would be AI is creeping into technology. We have software that sits in meeting rooms that removes extraneous noises, removes certain audio distractions, so that people aren't kind of distracted by something else happening and can focus on content, can focus on collaboration and discussion and what matters most. But I think also in augmentation, where we're moving to more now with technology, is how we work with people like Microsoft and some of the conferencing platforms in collaboration to make things more seamless. So what we're seeing now is that in meetings where people all dial in together, so it's like a complete hybrid meeting, people are able to kind of transcribe their meetings, have transcription, and use digital tools, which is fantastic if they're used correctly. But when you actually have people get together in a meeting together, sometimes those tools don't work as well. And so AI has the potential, when you augment existing workflows and apply it properly, to move towards this nirvana where no matter how you meet, and in what format your meeting takes place, you can actually leverage all of the tools in the same way. So it's interesting. I think all of us have done it. We can sit at the office, a desk all day at home, working from home, in sequential meetings, doing our thing. And then 2 or 3 days a week we go to the office, and sometimes do exactly the same thing at a different desk. And there's definitely questions being raised now. It's like, why do I do that 2 or 3 days a week? It's just the same, different location, when in fact we also know that the opportunities that come from meeting people face to face, the corridor discussions, are also very powerful. But also when you step in a meeting room with people and talk around a table or across a table, that's also really powerful. But some of the digital tools, without the right equipment in place, are absent from that meeting. So I've seen situations where the hybrid workplace is actually the most productive for using AI tools like Copilot and transcription services, and not always well enabled in the room. Often they are. A well-equipped room can capture everything in the room correctly. But when you start to bring them into hybrid, they don't always work as well. So really, this augmentation of what you have and realizing what can we do better, how can we become more collaborative, how can we become more productive, is really where AI has its most impact. So it's not to put it on the side and say, what does it do that's extra? It's how does it bring value by augmenting what we're doing and make it more powerful? I'll give a couple of examples of that. I think I've seen that in meeting notes. transcribing a meeting, providing summaries very, very quickly. And that's a fantastic efficiency. It allows people to participate clearly, it allows people to pay attention to what's being said and not be distracted by making their own copious notes or writing things down constantly. If you can rely on AI and have the right tools in place that you can lean on it and trust it, then you can actually get much more from that. And that's just one example. But it's this consistent experience across collaboration. The vision, shared vision is really important. I mean, what do you want to achieve through AI? What's the purpose of this? And have that shared vision across the organisation so it can be spoken to fluidly and people can get behind it and understand it. I think it's also important to make it successful that you have to find trust in AI. Be clear about what it's going to do, how you're validating it, how the outcomes are validated, how people can believe that they can trust the AI tools that are being used. That's crucial. There's a lot of skepticism about AI today. What is it doing? What is it taking away? Is it removing a job? It's none of those things. It's actually, when it's used correctly, it's augmenting and providing greater efficiency and actually taking away some of the routine, process, repetitive tasks from people to allow them to really apply their best talents and their experience in the best possible ways. And I think when people embrace AI in that way, it's really powerful. So a vision for that and other things besides is important to start with. Understanding how the organisation is using AI and how it validates what it uses from it and doesn't maybe trust it without proper checks and balances in place. And finally, I would say that in order to be successful with that is to demonstrate where it's impacting the business. We've invested in it, we're using it, we see it. Detail the impact it's having, be prepared to measure that, show how it impacts the meeting, and actually review that with team members, audit its impact and make sure that people understand what it is. But there is, today there is some mistrust, there's also some excitement, but on balance, when you get it right and understand what you want to achieve and how the business is going to embrace it and use it effectively, I think it's easier for people to engage with it, use it, and actually enjoy all the benefits that AI can bring in collaboration. We've coined something called a Collaboration Quotient, which is really a measure of effectiveness and impact of AI tools in collaboration. And the things you can do for that in order to measure it, but driving a higher Collaboration Quotient score has a direct correlation to fiscal and commercial benefit. So whether that's measurable impacts on the business. And one of the most obvious measurable impacts is, according to the IDC study, is an up to 25% increase in return on investment on tech investment for organisations, which is really powerful and really important to understand. What's really important in getting a collaboration quotient to work is recognising meeting archetypes. Is get those archetypes understood, understand what meeting types you have, how your teams come together to collaborate, make sure they have the tools positioned in the right way to support that collaboration, and then measure the outcome of that, how those tools are working and how they drive that collaboration quotient upward. And the inverse of that is better meetings, better productivity, and ultimately the best commercial outcomes. Collaboration is this amazing place right now. At Shure, we've been an audio business for over 100 years, so we're approaching 100. Well, we're in our 101st year now. In fact, we've completed 100 years, and voice has always been centre of that. Voice is how we communicate. It's central to every collaboration. Collaboration is pretty poor if it's just images. There's usually a voice track that goes with it. But now, an amazing place where voice has always been so powerful that in some ways it's been ignored and accepted as always present and always standard. And so whilst technology has improved and some things have become easier, I think the real power of how we manage voice content and what we can do with that, how AI can process that to much better outcomes and to much more business and commercial impact, and others as well, is really quite special now. And we're seeing that through collaboration with various organisations, particularly with Microsoft and people like that, with AI and Copilot, and how really strong, high-quality voice capture and how that is processed is having real, tangible benefits in lots of different ways. And I think what we've recognised more recently is that audio is becoming data. And so people are very much aware, particularly in this community of the CTO world, of that data is valuable. But we also know that poor quality data is not so valuable. And so great quality audio provides great quality data, and how we process the audio, how we process the nuances of conversation, interaction between people, how people collaborate, what they talk about, what they don't talk about, what they mention and talk about most, and how things we can process. And so the audio content that's always been present and always been so powerful to every meeting is now being captured, it's being processed in ways that AI can do much faster than we can. And I think that's a benefit that goes beyond anything we've experienced before. is not just taking best in class that was previously too expensive, it's actually allowing us to go a step beyond that. But it starts with really clean, positive, strong voice capture that's clear and accurate, and allowing that to be processed in ways that are changing and developing and improving all the time.